Hi, this is Martin Drummond with Progressive News. It's Monday, July 1st, 2019. And I was just watching this somewhere.
Today, the major Wall Street banks are larger than ever. Their profits are soaring, and their CEOs receive huge compensation packages. Our proposal, which costs $2.2 trillion over 10 years, will be fully paid for by a tax on Wall Street speculation, similar to what exists in dozens of countries around the world. The American people bailed out Wall Street. Now it is time for Wall Street to come to the aid of the middle class of this country.
Okay, this is proof that Bernie Sanders, strategically speaking, he knows what he's doing. Because when Elizabeth Warren announced that she'd be canceling some student loan debt, what I said in the video when I talked about that was that this was a phenomenal plan. However, since Elizabeth Warren isn't in favor of canceling all student loan debt, she left him enough room to where he can swoop in and still do better than her.
No, man. Mike, God bless you. But you're focusing on, I don't know, what are you trying to make us think that you predicted this or something? It's not really the point, is it? I mean, the point is not whether one politician can outdo the other on the stump, right? It's not important that Bernie outdo Elizabeth Warren. It's not important that Elizabeth Warren outdo Bernie, because otherwise, I'll be president then, because I'll get up there and I'll say, I'm giving away gold to everybody the day after I'm inaugurated, I mean, come on, man. That's ridiculous, Mike. Ridiculous. I expect better from you. You're highly self-educated in politics. Okay, but obviously not educated enough. What sets Bernie apart from Elizabeth Warren and Kamala Harris and all these other people is that, I guess it's just because he's got the truth behind him, right? I mean, we trust him when he says it. I mean, we've seen politicians. Let's see. Who's this?
Thomas Jefferson was the first president to talk about the importance of individual health. Franklin Roosevelt hoped that health security would be the other half of the Social Security system. But political realities forced President Roosevelt to discard that dream, and the result...
Anybody can talk about it. Anybody can stand up there and pretend like they're not a racist, or that they're out to help the poor and they're out to help minorities. Anybody can. She did. She's a scumbag loser. I mean, I don't mean that. I mean, she is, but that's not really what I'm trying to focus on. She say anything to be president, right? And she would believe anything. I'm sure that she believed in herself. I'm sure she believed that she was going to be a great president. She was going to save this country. But she never... Her attempt at healthcare was a joke, quite honest. And,
tell a story that to me illustrates what has happened to our political system in regard to the middle class, in regard to democracy in the country as a whole, and it involves Hillary Clinton.
I had written an op-ed about a piece of pending bankruptcy legislation. The credit card companies have been pushing to try to tighten the bankruptcy laws, sort of like locking the doors to the hospitals and then claiming nobody's sick in America. So they were trying to get the bankruptcy laws constricted, so that fewer families could get in. Why? Because you can make more money if those families don't go into bankruptcy, if you're a credit lender. And so I'd written an op-ed about how this would fall disproportionately hard on women who were raising families and who would be put in the position under this bill of trying to compete with Citibank, MasterCard, Visa, Bank One for getting alimony and child support from their ex-husbands. Mrs. Clinton evidently saw
The First Lady.
the First Lady. She was then First Lady. This is in the 1990s, late 1990s. Mrs. Clinton saw the piece, and I got a call from the White House. And they said Mrs. Clinton was going to be in town to give a speech in Boston, and would I come and meet with her? I said, sure. And so I put together all my files.
Sure. My God, I mean, why would anybody want to be like the Clintons? Just because somebody gets elected president or it gets to be first lady or whatever, doesn't mean that you want to be like them. I mean, I wouldn't want to be, I'd shoot myself in the fucking head before I'd be anything like the Clintons, especially Hillary, right? The big shill. There's no way. But it's obvious that, Warren's got the same flaws as Clinton. She's got this desperate need for power. It's the first thing I look for in a politician. And when you see Bernie, other than a desperate desire to help end the suffering, the degradation, all the other things going on in this country, do you see ambition? No, you don't. But I see it here. Oh, Clintons. All I can say is good things about Clintons, and it's going to be interesting the way this little video wraps up. Watch this.
I show up at the appointed place. After she's finished her speech, we're ushered into a tiny little room somewhere in the bowels of this hotel. And just the two of us. They close the door. Mrs. Clinton sits down. We have hamburgers and French.
Because I'm so special. Because Mrs. Clinton wanted to talk to me. Are you getting this? I mean, I'm not crazy, right?
Fries.
You tutor her.
And she says, tell me about bankruptcy. And I got to tell you, I never had a smarter student.
Yeah, no, there's nobody smarter than a bitch that loses to Trump, right? Right. There's nobody smarter than that.
Quick, right to the heart of it. I go over the law. It's a complex law. Went over the economics, showed her the graphs, showed her the charts, and she got it. Within 20 minutes, she could play where the rest of it would come. Well, then that will mean this part's happened. That will mean this has happened. I said, yes, that's right. And at the end of the conversation, Mrs. Clinton stood up. She said, let's get our picture taken, which we did. And she said, Professor Warren, we've got to stop that awful bill, referring to this bankruptcy bill that's sponsored by the credit card companies.
Professor fucking Warren. She went to Harvard. Can you believe that? I mean, what kind of idiot goes to Harvard? By the way, if you've ever watched my shows, you'll know I turned down Harvard. I left Oxford realizing what was going on. I mean, you do not want to go to one of these schools. And after I left Oxford and refused to go to Harvard, I ended up basically being maneuvered into a school down in Houston. And guess what they did? They named it, after I was there, they named it, or right when I got there, I guess, they named it one of the top 10 business schools in the country. So now I can brag about how it's one of the top 10 business schools, but that's exactly what I didn't want to do. And I didn't want to be in Houston. I just got wrangled into that bullshit too. I mean, it was nonsense. My whole youth was one big clusterfuck. One big Republican conservative clusterfuck. So, and people who are the opposite of me, like this, I'm sorry, man, but she's just a she's just a shill. Just like I won't say bitch again, but she is. She's a female asshole, and she's able to keep it all under wraps this far. But believe me, in 10, 20 years, they'll be talking about, oh, we've heard that Elizabeth Warren has a bad temper and treats her employees badly and things, just like with Clinton. I mean, we heard the same things over time. And I love women, and I love feminism. I love female empowerment. I want to see what's her name, the black girl for Bernie, the one who's always talking at his rallies, Nina Turner. I want to see her president. I would love to see her vice president right now. I would even love to see her president and Bernie as vice president. Then Bernie could die if he wanted to. I mean, everybody bitches about his age. Anyway, so this one, Kamala, the whole batch of these women are useless. And I had the same problem in 2014 when it was obvious that Clinton was going to be like the sole Democrat running for the Democratic Party. And I was like, look, give me just about anybody, any woman, just about any woman. I was like, I was naming off people that I kind of liked at the time. I think Barbara Boxer, people like that. I would have loved to seen somebody like, what was her name? The black woman. Just about a lot of the black Democrats at the time, like the one who raises hell with, I think, with Trump all the time. Anyway, I would love it. I'd love it. I would not be disappointed at all if Bernie were to say, look, I'm not going to run, but, put AOC can't, or Nina Turner. So don't get me wrong, man. I say bitch a lot, and it's just, I watch a lot of Rick and Morty, and, we love to say that as it's just expressive. So listen to this, because you're going to be amazed, really, what a spineless woman this Warren is.
So I left. She went back to Washington, and I heard later from someone who was a White House staffer that there were skid marks in the hallways when Mrs. Clinton got back as people reversed direction on that bankruptcy bill.
Do you see the look in her eyes? It's so obvious that I doubt seriously, after you hear what happened, what ended up happening, that Warren likes Clinton at all. This is all just politics. She's just kissing ass here. She's acting like, First Lady, she's nobody. The First Lady is nobody in this country. She can't do jack fucking shit, man. She's nothing. She wasn't elected. She's ridden her, and Hillary just rode her husband's coattails all the way. What kind of message is that to women, right? Ooh, grab you a man that will take you far. That's certainly a smart strategy. God, that's such a bad message to say to women. Make it on your own, ladies. Make it on your own. I'll vote for you, and I won't run against you. I know I'm smart, and I know I could do it. I want other people to do it. You know what I mean? I'm not interested. And that, I'm not saying that because I'm trying to make you feel like I'm qualified. What I'm trying to say is that, I have no ambition. I have no ambition in politics. My war is with the establishment, and I refuse to do it I refuse to get in there with them. You can call me weak or whatever you want for that, but I've already been thrown in jail once for expressing my opinion and got overheard by one of the assholes. I don't want to spend the rest of my life beating my head against the wall. I know that the things that I care about are going to take decades. I know that you're all looking for a quick fix. I know you're looking for, we're going to immediately take power and take all the money from the rich and save the poor. It's not going to happen. It will, but don't be upset if it doesn't happen in your lifetime. Okay, these things take an enormous amount of emotional capital. All these millions of millennials, all these millions of people, communists, socialists, lefties, liberals, all of them, all of their energy will not get this stuff done overnight. I'm sorry to tell you. But the writing's on the wall, right? When you have, like Bernie says, when you have millions and millions upon millions, we have a vast majority of people behind us, as long as we don't fuck it up. And we don't want to fuck it up with people like this. Look what she did.
In the industry, and because of her...
President Clinton had been showing that this was another way that he could be helpful to business. It wasn't a very high visibility bill. And when Mrs. Clinton came back with a little better understanding of how it all worked, they reversed course, and they reversed course fast. And indeed, the proof is in the pudding. The last bill that came before President Clinton was that bankruptcy bill that was passed by the House and the Senate in 2000, and he vetoed it. And in her autobiography, Mrs. Clinton took credit for that veto, and she rightly should. She turned around a whole administration on the subject of bankruptcy. She got it.
And then?
One of the first bills that came up after she was Senator Clinton was the bankruptcy bill. This is a bill that's like a vampire. It will not die, right? There's a lot of money behind it. And
the bill her husband had vetoed.
Her husband had vetoed it very much at her urging.
And?
She voted in favor of it.
Why?
So, Hillary Clinton fucking stabbed you in the back. Stabbed you in the fucking back. And I don't give a shit about her little explanation. It doesn't. It's pointless. And she still supports him. And she supported Hillary over Bernie in Massachusetts or wherever she's from, and screwed Bernie. This is... I was amazed that she was even running. How dare she run against Bernie? How dare she? She has absolutely no respect for anybody if she has the gall to run against Bernie. She's got no respect, and neither do any of the other ones. Where were they in 2016? Why didn't they run against Hillary? Huh? Why didn't Elizabeth Warren? We courted Elizabeth Warren. I don't know if you know this, but I was one of the very few people, maybe the first, on Facebook who started the anti-Hillary movement on Facebook. Okay? I went around recruiting people. There were tons of people who had the same feelings as I did. They wanted an alternative to Hillary Clinton. They didn't want Hillary Clinton. And they're not Republicans, they're Democrats. And so we started this anti-Hillary movement. And about 6-7 weeks after we started the anti-Hillary, when we really got it rolling, it was announced that Bernie Sanders was thinking about running. And I was like, Bernie Sanders, is he that guy? And I was thinking about Barney, what's his name, and that guy's a douchebag. I had the wrong guy. And then I looked it up, and oh yeah, the Nicaragua guy. When I was a kid, he went to Nicaragua to find out the truth about what was going on down there. and I was ecstatic. And I waited, and he ran, and started the Bernie groups. The Bernie groups were already out there, and surprisingly there were a lot of people in it, but one of the Bernie groups went to 250,000 almost overnight. Bernie for president. And we could have won. But you know what really fucked us up? This woman. I have absolutely no love for her. And, you know, this is what happens. See this? Corporate Democrats sabotage single-payer bill in California. I mean, they're no good. They talk a good talk. Same as this evil fucking woman. That's not the correct descriptor for her. They talk.
Result, as we know, has been ongoing insecurity.
Look at her. She oozes of arrogance and of I'm really gonna do a good acting job today. Holy shit, our country's been just in the shitter since 1992. You know, and the thing is we couldn't do any better. It's not like we had anybody else to vote for. I mean, I don't remember any progressives running until 2016 with Bernie. You know, we never had a choice. And this was the thing. And here comes Obama, right? And even me, I'm like, a black president. This is it. This is it, a black president. How can we go wrong with a black president? And then we find out how badly we can go wrong. First of all, he's not black, right? His mother's whiter than my mother. And, was. She died. But, you know, I thought, how could we go wrong? And, boy, I went door to door every chance I could get, and did the whole thing, the phone calling, everything. And look at the numbers. And why were the numbers so high? Because people believed he was Bernie Sanders. They believed he was really going to try to change things. And that's all that we ask. I'll tell you something, I don't believe Bernie Sanders is going to be able to, I mean, he's not going to be able to wrestle capitalism to the ground and take their power away from them. He's not. I don't know what you people expect. That's going to take probably hundreds of years. So, you know, it's not about outdoing each other on the soapbox, you know, getting up on the soapbox and saying you're going to do one thing bigger or better than each other. It's about whether you believe in the person and whether the person is believable. And Bernie's believable, right? So this is Martin Drummond with Progressive News. And I hope you enjoyed the segment and got my point. I hope you got my point. Because, you know, they can't take that away from Bernie. And why? Because unlike Warren, we all know who he is. We all know what he's about. You know, he's never stuttered in his life. He knows exactly what he wants. He's selfless. He's like a knight in shining armor. So, thanks for watching.